Hello students, today's topic is self-directed learning. It's a part of foundation course. So self-directed learning is taking ownership of one's own learning. Learning objectives for today's class are, at the end of the session, the student should be able to define self-directed learning, know how is this as the SDL part of curriculum-based medical education, what are the steps involved in SDL, what is the scope of SDL in the curriculum, the technology involved in it, and its advantages and disadvantages. First, let us look into common teaching styles. The teacher can follow an authority or a lecture style where she is delivering didactic lectures. So this is a teacher-centered teaching style, which is with frequent lengthy lectures, and it's mainly one-way presentation. And here the student is a passive learner. Next is a demonstrator or a coach style where the person is showing the knowledge, demonstrating an activity, and the student has to repeat it, like what you see in your practical sessions. Next is a facilitator or activity style where the teacher is assigning an activity or a task and the student goes about actively learning about it, fetching resources, and becoming more and more involved in it, and in this process even develop some critical thinking skills. So this facilitator style is mainly involved in self-directed learning. Next is a delegator or group style wherein the teacher assigns an activity to group of students. It is best for the lab activities and for peer feedback activities. Next is a hybrid or blended style, which is an integrated style. This teacher can follow any of the above styles depending on the student's need and the topic which has to be taught to the student. So according to Malcolm Knowles, self-directed learning is a process in which learners take the initiative with minimal assistance from others, be it peers or teachers, in diagnosing their learning needs, formulating the learning goals, identifying the resource material needed for learning, in choosing and implementing an appropriate learning strategies, and evaluate the learning outcome. Let us see this Mocker and Spears SDL table. Here there are two things. One is learning objective and other is means of learning. When both of these are under institution's control, it becomes a formal learning. When either of them is under the control of the learner, it becomes informal learning. When both learning objectives and means of learning are under learner's control, it becomes a self-directed learning. Now, where does this SDL come into curriculum-based medical education? We all know that as per NMC, National Medical Council, the role of Indian medical graduate is, he has to be a professional, he has to be a clinician, he has to be a leader, he should be a member of healthcare team, a good communicator, and above all, a lifelong learner. Then how does he become a lifelong learner? It can't be in one day or couple of months. So he has to inculcate it right from the beginning. So right from the beginning, you need to inculcate this nature of self-directed learning in order to become a lifelong learner. Let us look into steps involved in SDL. There are 5 basic steps, which are setting goals, create a plan, seek help when needed, monitor the learning process continuously, and self-reflection, that is a reflection on the process you have followed. Looking into step 1, which is to set goals, it needs self-motivation or initiation by the student. He has to identify his learning needs. Where does he stand? What is his knowledge level? And what is the knowledge or the skill level he has to attain? And then based on which he will formulate the learning objectives. Let us take a small example. Say you're given an assignment of vitamins. So you have to take the initiative. You have to be motivated. You have to identify your learning needs. Then only you can frame your learning objectives. So You'll frame them like, I want to know the role of vitamins in the body and explain the manifestations of their deficiency. So there might be some long-term goals you have to achieve, and say you want to become a doctor, you're studying, you're in 8th standard and you want to become a doctor. So you have to set in several short-term goals to make up to the long-term goal. Next, step 2 is create a plan. The three important things here, which are the timing, the resource material needed, and the learning strategy followed by the student. So how do you go about? So you have to know, you have to think, when will I study? How long will I study? And what are the learning resources? Where do I get them from? And which is a learning strategy I'll follow. We all know that there are basically three types of learning strategies. One is just superficial learning, other one is a deep learning strategy, and next is a strategic style only for the exam. How can I study, how can I frame my answer so that I get good marks in the exam. So always good to have a deep learning, follow a deep learning strategy. Looking into the resources or the materials, you can find them in library. There are several ebooks available online, and there are several resource websites. Step 3 is seek help when needed. Okay, how much ever self-directed you are, you always need a help either from a peer or a teacher, because learning occurs in stages. Over a night, a student can't be self-directed. Initially, he is dependent. Next, he becomes interested, involved, and then only he is self-directed. You can see in the picture here the stages of self-directed learning of a student, how he evolves. So at each stage you can see that there is a role of an educator. When he is dependent, the teacher is an authority figure, and as he becomes involved, the teacher becomes a facilitator, and once he is reached, he is self-directed, even then the teacher acts as a consultant or as a delegator. Step 4 is monitor your learning. Always you have to assess yourself, how far you're going in a right direction, how well is your learning process going on. That is, in what way can you do it. You have to know what are the things I know, I understand, and I don't understand. If I don't understand, how I go about them. Can I answer a problem without referring to the notes? Can I explain any concept to others? And when I write down an answer, can someone else understand it? All these things you have to monitor. And self-assessment is a continuous process. Step 5 is reflect on the process. You have to evaluate your plan. Was my plan that very effective in achieving the goal? Were there any loopholes in that? How can I change it for the next time? How can it be better? Say you have put your target as a doctor. You want to you want to get a seat in MBBS. So you have done the process. You have set your goal. You have prepared your learning objectives, and you have gone about the process. But have I reached appropriate destination, a good medical college? If not, then what were the loopholes, and how can I do it better the next time for the future goals? Looking to the scope of SDL in the curriculum, in the present curriculum, it can be in the form of integrated learning programs. They can take one topic as hepatitis, and there are several speakers on it, coming from anatomy, physiology, talking about the liver, from pathology and microbiology, talking about the pathophysiology and the infectious agents, from the medicine, talking about the clinical manifestations and the treatment regarding the hepatitis. This is one modality. Next is case study based. You're assigned a case to go about and do some workup. Next is a chart or poster. You make a chart and poster and you have to discuss about it. Next is a multiple choice question model on the topic. You learn and come about the topic, and the teacher gives you an MCQ model to test yourself. Next is student seminars. So you're in particular department, you're given a topic and you have to present a seminar. Then research projects like ICMR projects, which can be assigned to you right from the first year. And then clerkship programs are of a little higher level. So you're put as for rotations in various medical specialities, where you try to treat the patient, or you treat the patient under the supervision of the seniors. Looking into technology in SDL, e-learning, the best platform. Rather than carrying heavy books from library, them being available or not, you can download several e-books from the internet. There are several sites like Library Genesis, Free Book Center, Free Books for Doctors, and so on, where variety of books are available. Next is literature databases, these search engines, web search engines, one of the most important of which is PubMed, part of National Library of Medicine, USA. Your library has to have subscription to this. Then only through this platform you can open and access this several electronic health libraries, uh, where you can access the journals as well as books, some of which are PubMed Central, Bookshelf, British Medical Journal, Up to Date, New England Journal of Medicine, and so on. Several electronic resources can be accessed through this. Other important one is Elsevier's Clinical Key. This is a good clinical search engine, especially for the doctors to make clinical decisions when they need help. This is a good platform. Next, there are a variety of online tutorials available like Oxford Medical Videos, the National Medical Library, Elsevier. There are variety of tutorials available which you can have access and which will help you in the process of self-directed learning. Similarly, there are other educational sites, online educational sites like Stanford Medicine, Oxford University Press, and many of them which even teach the art of bedside clinical examination. So skills can be imbibed after watching the online content, and whenever you need, you can go back and revise it. And it's mainly useful for professional life. So this is another online education site, Oxford University Press. Next, mind mapping. What is mind mapping? It's a concept mapping where you're integrating the basic and clinical sciences. I hope most of you all know it. So say there's one a cardiovascular disorder you're learning about. So you bring in the concepts from anatomy, from physiology, from pharmacology, from pathology, and you make some figures and some keywords and make a concept map which will be useful for you for your learning. So if anyone is having a problem making this mind map, there are several apps available like MindMeister, where there is you can prepare your mind map, a variety of tools which help you, and you can share and create your ideas at this platform. Next is webinars and podcasts. Seminar happening anywhere in the world, you can access it through the internet, and you can even ask questions and clarify your doubts. Podcast, where you're hearing to the audio recording of the seminar. Next is a clinical skills laboratory, which is a must in every medical college, where there are mannequins, some of which are Wi-Fi enabled. So, say you can practice several skills like putting an IV catheter, and if you're not doing it properly, the mannequin starts bleeding. And you can learn skills like resuscitation, airway management, cardiac arrhythmia management, and so on. Next is virtual learning environment. It's a e-learning management software. There are virtual learning environments like Moodle and Blackboard. They are available in some, not very frequently available, but they are used in some medical colleges. It's like more of an online platform where teachers and students come and, they can interact with each other. The teacher can give assignment, provide resources, and also monitor how far and is the assignment completed by the student. Next are virtual or simulation worlds, which is a 3D software environment. And here it provides an effect of real world scenario. Students can be engaged in discussion, in a debate, in decision making as in the real world. Let us see an example. Here is a virtual reality scenario of an OT, where you can test your skills, or a medical emergency wherein there are real life, it really mimics a real workplace where there is an attender asking you to save the patient, and there's a noise of healthcare workers around, this the nurse asking you how we go about, and so on. So you can test and learn more of the skills on this virtual reality platform. Looking at the advantages of SDL, what are the advantages? You become self-motivated, you become more autonomous or independent, goal-oriented, and you develop a lot of curiosity. What more can I learn? How can I learn? And you're able to face your challenges and develop critical thinking skills. You can plan and judge a situation by yourself, and over the time you're becoming a deep learner and a lifelong learner. You're developing time management skills and also the leadership qualities. So for anything, there are also some disadvantages like distraction from aim when you're using technology, or it might be time consuming. There can be lack of self discipline, there can be lack of input. Yes, there might be a lack of input from trainers, and there can be a slow evolution, but all of these can be overcome. Okay, so these are the references for the topic on self-directed learning. For any query, you can contact me. Any doubt, you can contact me. And this is the activity for today. You can choose one of the following activities, like making a chart or e-poster on hand hygiene, or on vitamins, or on microbes in human health, or you can draw a neat label diagram of human heart and neuron. You have to complete this activity and send it to the following email ID by today evening with your name and roll number of the student for marking the attendance. Thank you.